And check out the RCWR show with Lee Sanders. Get fun, in-depth coverage and analysis from the latest in professional wrestling in AEW, WWE, NWA, Impact Wrestling, or the world of entertainment. From hit TV shows to your favorite sports like the NBA or NFL. All things music, movies, and beyond, while trying to make sense of this crazy world we live in. All while keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive since 2011. And now your host, live from the nation's capital of Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
Hey guys, what's going on? Lee Sanders with you all for this edition of the RCWR show, Monday night, February 2nd, 2026. How the hell y'all been? I hope y'all had a fantastic weekend. Most importantly, your week is off to a great start. I know for many of you guys, all up and down around the Midwest, East Coast, ooh, we got hit with that snow several days ago, and for a lot of us, we were recovering big time. I was curious. I was watching just a couple of minutes of the 10 o'clock news to try to see what is going on around my local neck of the woods, and I see that there are still many districts that are closed because of the snow that happened over a week ago. It's just insane what's going on. And if you actually are subscribed to the YouTube channel, you would have saw that your man had to shovel out his car. And there was a really cool, nifty little tool that I used. Could go, nice little teaser for you guys to check that out. Hey, man, come on. Let me know what you thought about tonight's WWE Raw from Philadelphia. Definitely a memorable one, as really the price of admission for checking out this week's Raw was all about Roman Reigns. Yes. So I have an interactive poll that's available right now on X/Twitter at the RCWR show. You can go vote, leave some comments over there. I'll definitely show you some love. If you're checking this out live for the next little bit that I'm on, you can definitely post your comments. Let me know what you thought about tonight's Raw if you had saw it. We also got the latest in headlines as well, as we'll definitely be acknowledging a couple of passings that went down since last we were on the air with you, and some very important programming notes, a little bit of it's time for a shakeup. Once again, a little teaser. We'll talk about all of that later on. Some of you may like the programming shakeup that's going on with future shows from WA. Some of you may feel a little indifferent. Some of you may not like it. It just really depends. We'll see how it goes. We'll test the waters and let you all know what's going on later. So, of course, this was the Raw after the Royal Rumble. Shout out to those of you that had checked out my live Royal Rumble post show. It was awesome doing that for you guys. I was checking out some of the analytics for folks that was checking it out for on-demand downloads and all that. Numbers look relatively good. Not bad for a small mom and pop channel. I'll take it. I'll take every little victory that I can get. It was interesting to hear some of my contemporaries' reactions to the Royal Rumble from Saturday, as universally it's just an event that was just mid. A lot of people in that C range, C- range. I even heard some people giving the pay-per-view a D. I don't know if D is maybe a little bit too extreme, but it's just interesting to see that everybody, for universally the same reasons, but then other reasons that myself and others didn't even bring up. And when you hear it, you're like, well, yeah, that's a very valid point. Yeah, sure. So obviously, going into tonight's WWE Raw, one of the main questions was, okay, now that we've got the Royal Rumble behind us, we've got WrestleMania now. This is what it is all about. WrestleMania and Las Vegas. How is WWE going to really set the tone here and build things up? And I got to say, I love how the show opened up white hot and the show ended red hot. That's very good. Of course, Bron Breakker, Paul Heyman, the rest of the Vision coming out. Bron Breakker is extremely pissed off as he demands answers. He wants to know who the hell it was that attacked him. How did he get screwed out of the Royal Rumble the way that he did? Only thing that he can think of is that he got screwed by Adam Pearce from the moment that he drew number two as the number two entrant in the Royal Rumble. Demanded for Adam Pearce to come out. I don't know exactly what Bron Breakker was going to do if Pearce got inside that ring and he was just standing nose to nose across from him. Was Breakker going to take a swing? We never really will know because Pearce came out, had a bunch of security detail acting as a barrier between himself and Breakker, as he pretty much told him, look, you got nobody else to blame but yourself. Once again, the system, lottery system that we have for the Rumble, it's not rigged whatsoever. You drew your own number. That's what you drew. That's it. So don't be whining. Don't be crying. Stop all your bitching. You know, your shortcomings, it's your fault. And I'm just like, wow, Pearce is just okay. Pearce, like Pearce talking a real good game and everything. But again, he's got all these men that's blocking him and freaking. I'm thinking to myself, nah, Pearce, let Breakker go ahead and take a swing on your ass. Let him get first dibs because then you're going to be justified in having Breakker be suspended right there on the spot indefinitely. Hell, you could essentially even kick his ass off of Monday Night Raw and send him packing elsewhere. Let him no longer be your headache, right? But Pierce not backing down, pretty much echoing what he said to Paul Heyman over the weekend. But Pierce upped the ante. Pierce telling Bron Breakker, you know what, man, just, you got the night off. Just go ahead. Your services aren't needed. But I tell you what, your man Bronson Reed, he's got a match tonight. He's going to be taking on Penta. So, yeah, have a good night. And that pretty much was it. Breakker obviously not feeling this. And as he tried charging at Adam Pearce, next thing you know, whole lot of confusion was happening all around. LA Knight coming in from behind Logan Paul, Austin Theory. If I'm not mistaken, he even got a little bit of a shot in there on Big Bronson Reed as well. All that with a steel chair. Love this retribution tour that LA Knight is on right now. I'm loving it. And this wasn't be the only time that we had saw LA Knight pretty much getting dibs on the Vision. We saw him strike again later in the night as Reed took on Penta. But Paul Heyman trying to catch up with Adam Pearce. A couple of segments later, they're still playing their game of fuck around and find out. Paul Heyman thought he could use a little bit of that Philly clout and everything, given his history. Pearce wasn't backing down. He pretty much was like, bring the smoke. Like, I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care what Philly, your history. Like, I don't care. I'm fucking around. I'm trying to find out. Bring it. So, great chemistry that's been going on between these two guys, particularly the past couple of weeks. I am eating that up. When it's character driven like that and it's infused into the story arcs, it just makes everything, especially the supporting players involved, it just heightens everything that much more. Love it. Love it on all cylinders. We were talking about Penta earlier. Penta had a pretty solid match against Bronson Reed as Logan Paul and Austin Theory were at ringside for this matchup. They did end up trying to cause a little bit of interference at the end. And luckily, LA Knight had popped up once again. He pretty much hit the BFT on, I'm trying to think. I believe he hit the BFT on Bronson Reed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he hit the BFT on Bronson Reed, and that pretty much had Logan Paul, Austin Theory chasing after him all throughout the arena. And meanwhile, Penta, he was able to recover because some of the action had spilled outside the ring. From what I remember, Penta, I think, was either already in the ring, he was just slowly recovering, while it was Bronson that was outside the ring doing whatever. LA Knight hits him. Bronson was not able to get back into the ring in time, sadly. So Penta wins via countout. I don't have a problem with the way that basically was set up because, if you're basically going to go, hey, Penta's going to get a win, but he's not going to beat Bronson Reed cleanly. He beats him via countout. Okay, I'm down with that. And then on top of the countout, oh well, this guy had interfered, and if it wasn't for this, I definitely would have. Okay, yeah, I love how all of that was laid out, essentially protecting Bronson Reed when it was all said and done. So I'll take that for what it's worth. Good stuff right there. They were at the Xfinity Mobile Arena, by the way, out there in Philadelphia. Shout out to my Philly crowd. Philly has always been nice to the shows over the years, like consecutive years, month after month. I'm always looking at the analytics, seeing where some of the listeners are coming from and everything. And the Philadelphia market, it's always been kind. So much love to the Philadelphia audience. Elsewhere, Javon Evans taking on El Grande Americano. Okay, matchup, rather short. Kind of brief. OG cutter from Javon Evans to Grande Americano, getting an assist from El Original Grande Americano, or El Grande Americano 1, aka Chad Gable, coming out there when it counted the most, causing a little bit of a distraction. That pretty much had helped Javon Evans set up for the OG cutter. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong. Javon Evans and the solid performance that he had at the Royal Rumble, solid and everything. This was a nice continuation, a nice build from what Javon did at the Rumble. But then on top of that, what Javon has been doing thus far since he's been part of the Raw brand. But I kind of looked at this match more so from the perspective of continuing a story arc, which is okay. Now Chad Gable is back, and now more than ever, the curiosity is there to see the continuation of this El Grande Americano 1 versus Grande Americano 2. And with WrestleMania being right around the corner, you're kind of under the impression that with the way WWE's been booking as of late, we're likely going to see a mask versus mask match between these two at WrestleMania. And then the question becomes, okay, well, who's going to lose their mask? Is it going to be El Grande Americano 1, or is it going to be Grande Americano 2? I kind of feel as though, honestly, and shout out to those of you that's been looking at a lot of the photographs that's been floating around online of Chad Gable. I mean, dude is in case you could not tell if you watched tonight or watched the Rumble over the weekend, the phenomenal shape Gable is in. Jesus, go on his social media accounts and you'll see what I'm talking about. Honestly, I don't mind him losing a mask versus mask match if it means we get back to the basics with Chad Gable. Like, no more comedic relief stuff. This dude looks like a bona fide star. This dude looks like he can rip your freaking head off. Like, let's do it already. Let's go with Chad Gable. Let's see that this recent re-signing that he did with WWE, I think it was last year, sometime early last year in 2025. Let's make sure it's not all going in vain. That Chad Gable essentially made the right decision and everything. So yeah, but this match Javon Evans had against Grande Americano, it was just a little tiny bit too goofy for my personal taste, but I don't mind the young OG rubbing up the way he's been rubbing up against other stars these past couple of weeks. But for the time being, I'm almost kind of ready to see him break away from this and maybe go in a different direction. Now, if you were to say to me, hold up, Lee, no, 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 no. We're going to at least see Javon Evans and El Grande Americano 1 team up, and they're going to have some type of a tag match, because there is this whole thing where there is a strength in numbers for El Grande Americano 2, and then he's got Rayo and Bravo. So obviously you need a third guy that you can slide in there and everything. I just not sure who that third man could be. At one point, I could have told you Penta, but Penta's stock is on such a significant rise that would just kind of seem like going backwards, wouldn't it? If you were to insert Penta in there, I kind of feel like you need to go with somebody just a little bit on the lower tier as far as that third man goes. I'm just thinking about the current roster right now that WWE has, and as far as who would be like that good third man. Uh, Perfect world, I wouldn't mind seeing Dragon Lee, but Dragon Lee is a little bit tied up right now with Gunther. Who you got for a third man? I'm curious. Third man that could team with Javon Evans and God, I just blanked out on the other name. Javon Evans and El Grande Americano 1. We were talking about Gunther, Dragon Lee. Yeah, so Philly got trolled big time as we hear the music of the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. And man, my heart raced. I was like, holy shit, he's actually here in Philly. The cameras pan out to the crowd. They're excited as well. They're like, oh, wow, a nice bonus. Yeah, AJ's here. And foolish heart, foolish heart. Should have known better. Gunther comes out doing the AJ Styles pose and all at the top of the stage ramp to a chorus of boos. I laughed so damn hard. That was a good one. That was a good one. I got to give WWE props on that one. That was good trolling on their part. Foolish, foolish hearts. But seriously, it would have been nice to see AJ Styles just come back one more time and get a proper send off. I mean, this is a guy that was a WWE champion. You just think about the 10 years of great memories AJ Styles gave us, the great matches. And I thought for sure maybe when WWE got back to US soil, they were going to somehow try to give him a proper send off or whatever. Isn't it weird that when you go back to that Royal Rumble, you think about how Goldberg got a nice little celebration with his peers and all that. And yeah, the broadcast got interrupted, but still, all his friends, family, they were able to celebrate with him post match. And then John Cena had a really nice, cool send off and everything. AJ Styles, on the other hand, it just, I don't know, it just kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth. And I just hope that maybe at a later date we'll see AJ Styles somehow incorporated with the WWE. Look, if you were to tell me, Lee, WWE will work something out with AJ to the point he'll be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. First of all, Anybody that's toying around with that idea, let me say this. This is where AJ Styles needs to be consistent. Because remember, TNA Wrestling a couple of years back was trying to induct him in their Hall of Fame. And he let it be known he was flattered by the invitation, but that it just didn't feel right for him to take a Hall of Fame induction while he was still an active wrestler. To the point, AJ said, once I've hung up the boots for good, then yeah, sure, I'll definitely go into the Hall of Fame, but not right now. So I feel the same rules would definitely apply here with WWE. So for those of you that's thinking, oh, well, maybe AJ Styles will go into the WWE Hall of Fame later this year, I don't see that happening. The only way I can see AJ going into the WWE Hall of Fame in a couple of months is if definitely later on this year he goes into the TNA Hall of Fame Bound for Glory weekend. Like that's the only way this all really, but again, we know that the man just recently re-upped his trademarks and all that for P1, Phenomenal One, and all that, right? So he's definitely getting ready to really embrace this retirement tour, which we talked at great length on the Royal Rumble post show. If you didn't get a chance to hear that, definitely check it out wherever you get your podcast, or you could watch the video for on demand and on the downloads. But that's where we stand with that. Gunther trolling AJ Styles entrance, good stuff. Coming out there, really not able to get a few words out there. That Philly crowd was cussing him out big time. Censor guys were working twice as hard during this respected segment. We ultimately saw Dragon Lee get in a little bit of an offense, of an attack on Gunther. Eventually, Gunther coming right back, just decimating Dragon Lee. I remember at one point, yeah, Dragon Lee. Remember Dragon Lee, for those of you that were like, why is Dragon Lee? Well, Dragon Lee was at one point the tag team partner, co-tag champions with AJ Styles. So this is him kind of trying to extract a little bit of revenge here for his friend, as Gunther made Dragon pay for it. Dragon ended up getting in between the ropes while standing up, and Gunther just used the ropes to choke the living hell out of Dragon Lee. Visually, it was some pretty badass stuff. And, just to add insult to injury, I love the fact that after Gunther was done choking this dude out, he just casually takes his dear sweet time. His sleeves for his long coat was inside out. So he corrects that and he puts his coat back on, rolls out. Just looking at Dragon Lee all disgusted. I'm like, I love this. Like, this dude, seriously, this dude is doing everything right in my book. This is the type of guy, this is the type of bad guy I can recall as a kid in the 80s, watching all the larger than life characters and then all these baby faces that I was supposed to be cheering for, but I always gravitated towards the bad guy, the worst of the worst. Gunther just fits that relic of the 70s, 60s, 50s, even a little bit of the 80s. I love what WWE and Gunther, it's just a perfect combination. But WWE, I still got beef with you from over the weekend. Come on, man. You couldn't put a ring on it with Gunther. You had him retire AJ Styles. All you needed to do, just to chef's kiss, have him win the Royal Rumble. You had the right formula. It was down to Roman and Gunther at the end. What great bragging rights that would have been. Not since Chris Jericho. Hey, I beat The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin in the same night to become the first undisputed champion. To have Gunther go, I retired the Phenomenal One future WWE Hall of Famer, TNA Hall of Famer, Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer, AJ Styles. And I threw out the one tribal chief, the longest reigning WWE World Heavyweight Universal Champion in recent memory, Roman Reigns, to win the 2026 Royal Rumble. I did all that in the same night. Oh, man, they just missed out on a great opportunity right here. But yeah, looks like we now know who Gunther's going to be facing next. It's going to be Dragon Lee. That should be a pretty solid matchup. I'm actually looking forward to that one. You know, not so much from the speed aspect, but Dragon Lee has definitely shown that as far as from a technical side, the man can definitely go. The man can definitely go. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing these two guys lock up in the very near future. Speaking of locking up, we got to see the War Raiders in action. Apparently, they had signed up for a handicap match. But as far as who their opponent was going to be, well, according to Michael Cole and Corey Graves, wait a minute. This wasn't part of what we were given for the rundown. Obafemi coming out and just manhandled the living shit out of these guys. I loved it. I freaking loved it. I ate it up. I love seeing him deliver those big, heavy-handed chops and clotheslines. I mean, dude looks like a bona fide freaking stud. It wasn't even a match. It was not even a match. He just came out there. Bell didn't even ring. He just came out there, destroyed the War Raiders, and hit his pose with that nice sky blue light silhouette, dark silhouette. He hit all that. That pretty much was it. So Obafemi's good. He still is a free agent. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. He is still a free agent. So safe to say we'll probably see this guy also appear on SmackDown as well. We might not even have to wait that long. He could very well pop up on this Friday SmackDown. So maybe give you guys a little bit of an extra incentive in checking out SmackDown. So if you're paying attention, we've got this nice little buildup that's going on so far. Remember what I said a few minutes ago? We started off nice and hot of an opener, and then we're essentially just building from there and everything, right down to Finn Balor. You just felt in your heart of hearts that with everything that was happening, with Adam Pearce telling Finn Balor, oh man, the spots are already accounted for. Then we find out Javon Evans got announced during a Raw commercial break. Then you see the Pat McAfee show where Brock Lesnar is going, yeah, I'm in the Rumble. You're like, wait a minute. And like clockwork, social media was like, yeah, Finn's not going to take this very well. Hey, mission accomplished, right? Mission accomplished, because that's exactly what WWE wanted. And it was beautiful how this essentially turned into a segment with Finn Balor. And man, that was a nice little vignette of Finn Balor. They didn't show him talking in the ring or anything like that. They basically just used some B-roll footage. And I wrote down some notes as far as the promo. He talked about how respect can only get you but so far. At this point in his career, he wants it all. He wants the world title. He doesn't think that he's a bad guy, but at this stage of his life and career, he said he's willing to do bad things. He also gave a little bit of a nod to Adam Pearce, basically saying, you know, hey, I tried doing everything the right way. And what has that pretty much got me? Like, I wanted to enter the Royal Rumble and Adam Pearce shoots me down. And so he did allude to the fact that all these other people pretty much were able to pop up in the Rumble. Now, he didn't mention this part, but when you really stop and think about it, damn, we even had some AAA guys in the Rumble as well. What the hell, right? I was like, I tell you, I get no respect. You know, cue up Rodney Dangerfield. So good stuff right here from Finn Balor. Does this mean that with Finn Balor saying at this stage he's willing to do bad things, does this mean that Finn Balor is willing to get in touch with evil? An evil man with bad desires. Ooh, talk about ultimate power and the ultimate corruption. Are these maybe subtle hints that the demon is possibly coming back? Really? Ooh, and it makes me wonder. Meanwhile, Dominic Mysterio returning. We hadn't seen him in a good minute, looking better than ever. Looks like he got some additional ink work done around his neck, as it looks like he's extended it to make it connect more to his shoulder blades and all that. It looks really good. It looks really good. I swear, every time I hear Dominic Mysterio is injured, the running gag I'm kind of noticing now, when he is allegedly injured and he's gone for X amount of weeks, he pops up and he's got new ink. He's got new ink. Here's the thing, though, with Dominic Mysterio, and I got to know this. I got to know this because for however long Dominic was gone, and I think Dominic Mysterio was gone for maybe, it feels like maybe we hadn't seen him on television for about a month, maybe a month and a half. And I'm just trying to think about how long did it take my tattoo to like stop shedding. Because if you've never gotten a tattoo before, like when you first get that tattoo, right? Like after all the work is pretty much done and everything, right? Your skin really starts peeling like a mofo. It really, really does. Like when you get the outline of your work done, like everything usually begins with a tattoo outline, right? And that's not something that, well, it could be drawn on, but usually what most artists will do, they'll already have it drawn on something, and then they'll clean that area where the tattoo is going, take a razor to it, all that good stuff, and then they'll lay it down. It's almost like tracing, so to speak, right? It's almost like tracing. So then once it's been laid down and it's sitting there for an extended period of time, then they will essentially take it off, and then the outline is where it needs to be. Then they go in with the official needle gun, and then they start going over that trace, and they start going in to your skin and everything. After that outline is done, it depends. Like sometimes, depending on the level of detail that you have for your tattoo, like in my case, I apologize to our audio listeners, but you can like check it out at like the 32-minute 46-second mark. My tattoo, it pretty much took 2 sessions. So the first session, all this that you see of my Malcolm X tattoo, all of that, just the outline itself had took, and it wasn't as detailed. All this detail that you see, that wasn't in the initial outline. The initial outline itself, that probably took about, I would say, 2 hours, 3 hours. And then I came back for a second session after a couple of weeks. My skin was peeling. Keep that in mind. My skin was peeling a little bit in those couple of weeks. And then when I sat down for the second session and we finished up everything else, that was like a 9-hour session. When we did everything else, boy, I'm telling you, that tattoo, like when it's finally done, oh, it looks good. That area is nice and swelling. It looks good and everything, right? But then after about a day and a half, that's when you just start peeling like a motherfucker, and you're going, damn, am I doing something wrong? But if you have a good tattoo artist, they tell you what to prepare for, and all of that. And I know in my particular case, I'm curious what Dominic Mysterio's secret is, but in my particular case, it took me at least, my God, I think it took me, I feel like it took me maybe longer than a month for my skin to stop scaling the way that it was scaling. So for Dominic Mysterio, like whatever he's doing, like I need to know what's up because I needs to get on that treatment when it comes to the healing of the skin and all that. I'm doing for those curious. I'm doing the tattoo goo. So that joint that gives you the lotion, it gives you the antibacterial soap, it gives you the um, it gives you the balm, little green balm that you could use. So, I mean, if it turns out Dominic, that's what he's doing, I mean, cool. But I swear it seems like mine's was like a living eternity in hell. I don't know. Maybe I was just counting the days down until it could stop scaling the way that it was. But Dominic was back. Always great seeing him back. I was introducing the 2026 Royal Rumble winner in Liv Morgan. Philly crowd chanting at her, she deserves it. And she's like, yeah, I know, I know. She pretty much was letting them know, yeah, you can try all you want, but yeah, nah, that ain't gonna work with me. I still don't like you guys. That's pretty much was Liv Morgan. She tried to give it up for her girl, Raquel Rodriguez, for having the Philly street fight that was going to go down in a few minutes against Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship. Raquel comes out, she pretty much goes, hey, before I get into this match and everything, can we address the elephant in the room? We not going to talk about what happened at the Royal Rumble? Like, what was up with that? And that went down exactly how we thought it was going to go down. I mean, we talked about that word for word on the Royal Rumble post show, which was basically Liv Morgan going, oh, you my girl. Come on now. The important thing is that the championship, that women's championship, the opportunity and all of that, it stays within Judgment Day. And hey, that's what it's all about. It's all about family. And right on cue. Right on cue. Go back and check out my Royal Rumble post show, like word for word. Liv Morgan, that's what was delivered to Raquel. Well executed. Good stuff, WWE. Raquel saying, okay, all right, I feel you on that, but do me a favor. Stay your ass in the back. I want to win this championship on my own. Liv Morgan's like, yo, say less. Bye. So we get to Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel Rodriguez, by the way, loved the big sexy attire that she was wearing. No, literally, I'm not being funny. Her shirt, it literally said big sexy. So she's paying homage there to Kevin Nash and everything. It was kind of giving me those NWO Wolfpack vibes and everything. Remember that crap back in the day? NWO Red, NWO Black, NWO, the Spanish version. And the BWO and all them other joints. Let me tell you something. This Philly street fight between Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez, boy, was this rough around the edges. This was rough around the edges. By the way, they gave Stephanie Vaquer some new music. They had her debut to some new music tonight. Oh my God, it made my ears bleed. Please, powers that be in WWE, there is nothing wrong with Stephanie's other music. Go back to that. Please, whatever you can do, whatever you can do, go back to her other music because that kicked more ass. It just fit her personality and everything. Like, it's good shit. That why change it? Why change it? I don't understand that. But this was a rough Philadelphia street fight. Now, see, I'm a little mixed about this matchup. Okay, let me just count the ways. Look, I'm not expecting for a street fight to be pretty. I kind of expect a paint by the numbers. Whenever I hear a street fight or a Hell in a Cell, I do expect a paint by the numbers. I don't care if you go 1, 4, 10, 9, 6. I don't care how you do it, but there's a paint by the numbers, and you got a story to tell, and you're gonna do it in a certain way, and that's good. But this street fight, it was a little rough to watch And I think it was mainly because there was just so many things that could have gone wrong in this match that luckily did not go wrong. So, like for instance, at one point, Stephanie Vaquer, and I don't know what the hell was going on here. I don't know if it was a wardrobe malfunction or something was wrong with Raquel or Stephanie just blanked out and she wasn't sure what the hell she was supposed to do next. All I know is Raquel Rodriguez is outside. For whatever reason, the camera is not panning to her. The camera is staying on Stephanie, who's in the ring. She's laying on her back. And you got the referee. Remember this name because I'm going to be coming back to him a couple of times. The referee by the name of hang on. I wrote his name down. Now I'm not seeing his name. Oh, you know why? That's because I had gave him a shout out via Twitter. Hang on. Let me pull up his name that way. His name is Bond. James Bond. No, his name is Eddie Orengo. Eddie Orengo. Or is it Eddie? Eddie Orengo. 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 Eddie Orengo. Remember that name. So he's like calling an audible to Stephanie, and it kind of seems like maybe he's checking in on her, but the more and more I'm looking at this, I'm kind of getting the impression Stephanie isn't really quite sure what the hell she's supposed to be doing next. And so at this point, I'm kind of putting two and two together. Okay, yeah, I don't think Raquel's injured. Raquel must be waiting for Stephanie. She's got to. She's got to be waiting for Stephanie. So Eddie is literally, you can see this clear as day. Eddie is feeding information to Stephanie. And Stephanie, at like the last second, she decides, okay, let me sell my left leg that allegedly got injured by Rodriguez a couple of weeks back. So she's holding on to her leg for a little bit. And I guess she's trying to get a little bit more information from Eddie. And Eddie relays the information. Then she finally just comes to, all of a sudden, the leg. Oh, the leg. Oh, my leg. My leg. All of a sudden, she just pops up and goes right to where Rodriguez is, as Rodriguez was waiting for her to essentially kind of counter her when Stephanie stuck her head out between the ropes and all that. So, you had an instance like that. There was another case where Raquel Rodriguez had pulled out a bunch of steel chairs. She slid some under the bottom rope into the ring. She tossed some over the top rope. She put some between the ropes. And at one point, one of the steel chairs, I think she was trying to have the steel chair go over the top rope. Well, the steel chair essentially ricocheted from the rope and it damn near hit her face. So just imagine, just with the way she was doing it, just imagine if she would have potentially concussed herself or if it hit her face so bad, fractured nose, bloodied nose. Again, it's like these little nuances. You go, man, this was kind of rough around the edges. You know, you got a painted by numbers kind of match here, but the execution, it's a little rough, but kind of cool at the same time because it's like, okay, well, I kind of like a beautiful disaster, so to speak, here, right? So little stuff like that. And then you even had a spot where Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel were fighting in the corner. You had a Slim Jim table that was set up. Kind of looked as though at one point Raquel was going to get the best of the encounter as they were dueling in that corner. And she was just going to power bomb the hell out of Vaquer. Vaquer manages to reverse it somehow. And then we see Liv Morgan appear. she decides to help out Raquel by saying, hey, here's Stephanie's championship belt. Go ahead and clock homegirl over the head with it. Go ahead, you got this. So Raquel tried to do that, but it backfired. Talk about rough. Next thing you know, Roxanne Perez, she appears on the other side. Keep in mind, Philly street fight. So no disqualification. Anything goes. So Roxanne tries attacking Vaquer, who's in the corner, and Vaquer manages to, fight her off, all that good stuff. And then coming back to that Slim Jim table once again. So if I remember this right, somehow Rodriguez gets clocked by that championship belt. Because I think maybe Stephanie ends up using it. If you bear with me a second, I'll go on my notes just to double check. But I believe Vaquer somehow had that championship belt. Let me just check my notes here. Hang on, guys. I got you. Give me a second. Yeah, see here. Yeah, runs down title. Vaquer sends Rodriguez. Yeah, there was a weird steel chair. I remember there was a weird steel chair spot in a corner right before all of this had went down. And luckily the chair had fell. But like the way the chair was initially set up, and I forget who tossed who into that corner with the chair. But you could hear the Philly crowd gasp because it was like, shit, we just dodged a bullet there because that could have been a really bad accident. Like all these little nuances, it just adds up after a while here. So Rodriguez catches Vaquer on the top. We mentioned that. Try to go for a Tiana bomb. That gets countered into a super hurricanrana through the table. Table did not collapse though, from what I remember. Or did it barely break? I think it barely broke. But I do remember something going on where Stephanie Vaquer went up to the top and she tried to look for her corkscrew moonsault. And shout out to the referee, Eddie, because with the way Stephanie had initially left the table debris set up, everything was propped. And you're looking at from where Stephanie had everything set up to where she went to the top turnbuckle for that corkscrew moonsault, and you're going, I mean, literally, you're saying this as you're watching, you're going, I don't know. I don't know. If you're able to pull that move off, part of your ankle is probably going to hit some of that table. Might be a good idea to, I don't know, maybe put that shit flat and more to the opposite side of the ring just to make sure that your ankle, your foot doesn't hit that. Because last thing you need is to be out for several months. Referee Eddie right there on the spot. Stephanie Vaquer retains the championship. But as I noted on social media, for me, like the real MVP of this match was the referee. Because go back, now that I've said this, and for those of you that maybe haven't watched Raw yet, just go back and watch this match. Watch the referee, Eddie, in particular. He is feeding these women so much information. He's letting them know everything as far as where they need to be. He is really coaching the hell out of Stephanie Vaquer, particularly. Okay. Violent match. Like some of the spots were good. There was a decent amount of spots that you're just noticing. It's not even a case where it's like, it's a critical, you have too much of a critical eye, Lee. Like you're able, no. Like you're just naturally just seeing all of this play out right before your eyes. I'm telling you, when you watch enough wrestling, it eventually gets to a point where a lot of the stuff that you're seeing, like, I don't know how it is for you, but for me these days, I'm able to watch all this stuff that's happening in real time in slow-mo. And I'm not even pressing a slow-mo button. I'm just able to see all this stuff now in slow-mo. It's interesting. I think this match needed to be a little bit shorter because it felt a little bit too dragged out. And as a result, it definitely showed both women's inexperience. Confidence, not the issue at all. Confidence, not the issue at all. But from a storyline standpoint, I gotta say, with Vaquer retaining, this definitely increases tension even more between Liv and Rodriguez. You know, you kind of can't help but wonder when Liv Morgan initially ran down there. I mean, we know she's punched in her ticket for the Royal Rumble, but was she really there to help out her homegirl, or was she just trying to make sure that no, Liv Morgan is the one that's going to be the women's champion? Not, it just really kind of makes you wonder. So we had that go down. One more thing to talk about from Raw tonight. We teased it earlier, but the whole price of the admission for the Royal Rumble, correction, the whole price of the admission for tonight's WWE Raw is the Royal Rumble 2026 winner for the men's, Tribal Chief 1, Mr. Roman Reigns himself. Roman coming out there. Love how they did this. Love how they kept building it up. We're going to hear from Roman Reigns. Love how they did this. Executed it beautifully. Roman basically polled the fans, wanting to know, so what say you? Who should I take on at WrestleMania? Should it be Drew McIntyre, who got a chorus of boos? It's like, okay, or maybe it should be CM Punk. Yay. So Roman plays this game a couple of more times, and it kind of seems like, well, the choice is clear. Cue the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk. Great ovation from that Philly crowd. Reigns ends up taking off his jacket. It was almost like he was saying to himself, it's time to go to work. I'm going to have to earn my money right here. And I love the little bit of smile and exchange. I wish we could have found out exactly what Roman was saying to Punk. I wonder if maybe it had something to do with how healthy looking CM Punk looked, because right when Punk entered the ring and he was standing across from Roman, my wife, she goes, you think he's telling Punk he looks good? And I told her, I said, in what sense? I mean, he looks healthy. He looks bigger. He doesn't look malnourished anymore. I mean, he looks like a fucking man. This is my wife saying this about CM Punk. I just looked at her and I said, you could be onto something there. You could be onto something, right? I don't know. Maybe Roman Reigns is going, hey, Phil, you look nice. Very nice. Nice arms. Nice chest. Nice tank top shirt. Looking good, Punk. Looking good. Your thighs are getting wider too. Looking good, Punk. Looking good. You never know. Anyway, great ovation for CM Punk. Punk pretty much lets it be clear, you could listen to, these boos and cheers all you want, but I mean, come on, man. The choice is pretty much obvious, right? Like, yeah, you could go for Drew McIntyre. Like, that's pretty much easy. Or, because it's an easy pick, or you could essentially, go for the man, right? And that's standing right in front of you. And Roman Reigns tells Punk straight up, I wouldn't call Drew McIntyre easy. Like, remember, Drew McIntyre, this is a dude that's 4 times the size as you. And the last time y'all had locked it up, dude had you crying over a plastic bracelet. Matter of fact, the joint that you got on your wrist right now. You hear that zinger from Roman Reigns. By the way, the acting lessons and movie projects that Roman has been involved in, it's really been helping out his delivery, definitely the facial expressions, improving, like chef's kiss, big time. So Punk comes right back. Yeah, but I ended up burying Drew McIntyre. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Roman's like, yeah, like I beat this guy like repeatedly for 3 years. So, whoopie do, you beat him in one of the deadliest matches ever made. Like, whoopie do. I beat him consecutively for like 3 years. Punk coming right back. Yeah, you and your entire family. I mean, I'm loving this just nice game of ping pong as Roman's like, be careful when you talk about my family. And then Reigns says his family is the reason Punk had a place to come back to in the first place. Punk comes right back and says, nah, let's be for real. Um, you were essentially manipulating a whole bunch of people, but I can pretty much see right through you and everything. Takes issue with the Pat McAfee interview, talking about, nobody is trying to follow in your footsteps. A long time ago, in case you forgot, CM Punk was the champion for 434 days, conveniently with the wise man Paul Heyman by his side. Sound familiar? So pretty much Punk letting Roman Reigns know right there, don't even try to act like all the shit that you've been doing these past couple of years is original, because I pretty much had the blueprint before you even got it. So you're welcome for the house, right? That pretty much was CM Punk's message and everything. Punk talks about how he chooses to go to so many different countries, just like he chose to bring the Shield to the main roster. It was his choice to bring in Roman Reigns and two other guys to the main roster and everything. So you're going, oh, ooh, this is getting spicy and juicy. Like, I mean, really, this was the segment. This is how moments are talked about for years to come. And WWE hit pay dirt right here in the way they have strung all of this together. Reigns talks about how choosing Reigns is choosing the right person because he knows he can beat McIntyre, but that as far as like it being the easy way, basically he's saying I'm willing to take door number 2 because I want to climb Mount Everest, right? I want to claim that and everything. Reigns says Punk is making all these towns because he essentially took a 10-year vacation. I just love the nice little burn on AEW. It's like didn't exist. The idea that Reigns learned from Punk is also laughable because the only thing he learned from Phil, he never called him CM Punk or even a Punk. He kept calling him Phil. They didn't even call this guy Champ. Just kept calling this dude Phil. And the way he said it, it was just, blech. I loved it. I loved it. But he says to Punk, dude, the only thing that I learned from you is what not to do. Nice burn, great pop from the crowd and everything. Roman really hit it home, said when it came to you coming back, who do you think they came to? Who got you signed back? And basically, Roman saying it was because of me. You got signed back to WWE because of me. And then he brought up the fact that when CM Punk rolled out of WWE, ran his mouth to his best friends, to his best friend on his podcast. And as a result of running off at the mouth, it made Roman Reigns' job twice as hard. Good shit right here, man. Good shit right here. Punk came back, stole Roman Reigns' wise man, tried to make him look like a young boy at War Games. Roman says he's picking Punk because he hates him, and at WrestleMania, Punk will acknowledge him. boys and girls, this was some outstanding, delicious, fucking licious of a segment. Good battle of words. I love this. This was the highlight of Monday Night Raw. Folks will be remembering this moment for many, many years to come. This was good. I loved it. No complaints, no issues about this segment whatsoever. These two men, you know what? You could have just given them an extra 10 minutes and let them just fly off at the handle. And you could tell that the way these two were just bouncing off of each other, they just kind of knew general bullet points. With it was just go have fun, just go paint the canvas, just have fun. And whenever somebody delivered kind of a good line, CM Punk definitely smirking a little bit, like, okay, that's a good one. And then when Punk gets in a good one, Roman kind of tempted to break character a little bit. You kind of see him kind of start grinning almost slightly, and then he kind of reels it back. This was good. Even when the segment was just over, the two of them are just kind of nodding at one another, and there's a little bit of smirk, like that was good shit. And it was. I really hope that fans now, because we were hearing these rumors about, even on our Royal Rumble post show, people were like, oh well, stuff had leaked, and it's going to be Roman and Cody, and I'm like, don't first of all, you don't always gotta believe what you read online. Sometimes you can just have a pair of eyeballs and just see how things play out yourself, and then just experience the journey. Just go on the journey, and however wherever it lands, then you react to it. Like, you know, sometimes those little spoiler things, sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes it's just the opinion of somebody that's just trying to guess. That's just trying to place all their chips on the right bets, so that, when something does come out, and it looks like it's accurate to what they initially had propagated in the first place. Like, see, we told you right here. We told you. No, you're just covering your spreads. That's all you're doing. But I never once believed that Roman and Cody were gonna fight each other at WrestleMania. I never believed it. Not once. For me, and I kept saying this over and over. I said the real story, it seems, is Drew McIntyre and all these people that he's pissing off. Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu. Poor Sami Zayn got beat cleanly in the middle of the ring in Saudi Arabia. I don't know where the fuck you go from there. I mean, it's safe to say Sammy's done unless he can somehow figure out a way to slide in there. And as I said to you guys, Elimination Chamber, Elimination Chamber. The question is Drew McIntyre going to be defending in a triple threat, or is Drew McIntyre likely going to be? I think Drew McIntyre at this point is likely going to be defending in a 5-man chamber match for his championship. And it's like, good luck getting out of that going into WrestleMania, or it could very well be a case where Drew doesn't defend the championship at Elimination Chamber, and instead we could be looking at 5 men battle in the Elimination Chamber for the right to face Drew at Elimination Chamber. And then on that note, it's safe to say Jacob Fatu, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn. Maybe you slide in Trick Williams. Your guess is as good as mine, but maybe that's where you get, and essentially that's how Cody pretty much punches his ticket, gets Drew at WrestleMania. But then you still got like this unresolved. Somehow you got to get the issues resolved between Cody and Jacob. I don't know if Elimination Chamber is going to squash all of that. That's why this Friday SmackDown is going to be a very, very interesting show, because we're going to get just a little bit of a sneak preview. Because don't forget, next Monday on WWE Raw and on next week's SmackDown, they're going to have Elimination Chamber qualifying matches, apparently. Also on next week's Raw, Natty, the improved Natty, aka Natalia, will be debuting. She'll be facing off against Maxine Dupree. Usos defend the tag titles against Alpha Academy. So we got all that going down on next Monday's WWE Raw. Overall, though, relatively solid edition of Monday Night Raw. Let's see what you guys had to say about the show. X/Twitter at the RCWR show. See how you guys have voted over there right now. According to the latest polling results, got 17% of you giving the show a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 83% of you are giving it a thumbs up. Appreciate you guys that are voting. You can continue to vote if you want. And then let's not also forget on NXT this Tuesday on the CW. We got ourselves in the main event. 7 guys are going to be fighting for a chance to become the new NXT heavyweight champion. I'm actually going to be watching. I should be home. Yeah, I'll actually be home. I am looking forward to checking out NXT because now it's kind of a reason to watch NXT again. Kind of alluding to some news that had went down. We'll definitely talk about that. I don't even need to be long-winded when it comes to that piece of news. We'll be able to dive into that in no time. You guys will know what I'm talking about in a hot second. I'm trying to find the names of the people that's going to be fighting in this match. Hang on here. So that's going to be NXT for February 3rd. Let me see here. I know one of the people is Ricky Saints. The other guy is Joe Hendry, but I can't picture the names of the other people. So we got a triple threat championship match as Izzy Dane will be defending the title against Lola Vice and Thea Hale. Let's see here. So we got. Now, what's the match? Just tell me the match. There we go. We got an NXT Championship ladder match. Shiloh Hill versus Sean Legacy versus Ricky Saints versus Jackson Drake versus Keanu Carver versus Joe Henry, if he's cleared, versus Dion Lennox. It's for me personally, it's between Ricky Saints and Joe Hendry. Tony D'Angelo will be in the house as well. TNA Knockouts Tag Team titles, the Elegance brand, Heather and M by Elegance, they'll be defending against Sol Ruka and Zarya. I'm going with Zaruka to become your new tag champions there. So pretty loaded up edition of NXT this coming week on the CW. So check that out when you guys get a chance. We got, by the way, I didn't forget the other piece of NXT news, right? We're probably most likely going to be getting a new NXT GM, a new authority figure, because The Rock's daughter, Ava, has decided that she would not re-up her contract with the WWE. They tried to give her a new offer, and she pretty much was like, deuces. Look, you just don't know as far as why ultimately she decided to walk away from easy cash, right? Easy cash. I would like to believe, and it's okay to speculate. So as long as we let it be clear, hey, we're just speculating, right? It's not fact. We're just speculating. I mean, this is where real world kind of applies, doesn't it? Real world philosophy, real world thinking kind of applies here. But Ava's girlfriend was once part of the WWE system. And I guess when it's all said and done, she didn't quite make the cut. And so she was shown the door. You know, that can be a little bit straining on a relationship, even if it's a case where you're, essentially only traveling out once a week or sometimes twice a week if, the NXT brand has a pay-per-view and all that or premium live event. That can still be a little bit stressful within reason, but when you no longer have your significant other tagging along with you and all of that good stuff, that could probably factor in to your decision. Sure. Sure. We saw some of the stuff that Ava had to say in regards to this current presidential administration and everything that's been happening with ICE, besides really Mick Foley, who was like, I can't takes no more. I don't want to be associated with WWE. Da, da, da. Like, besides Mick Foley, Ava for me was like the only other person that pretty much, look, this is how I feel. And I would imagine that WWE PR within reason. But can you just imagine trying to talk to The Rock's daughter about put shit that she's putting out on social media and try to could you please, do you think you could just maybe scale back just a little bit? Just, do you think maybe you could, if possible? I mean, if you don't mind, if I like literally you're begging her, right? And of course, when she announced that she was departing WWE, one of her last FUs that she said on X/Twitter before deactivating her account, she said, now that I can speak with my chest out, she gave the middle finger emoji to ICE and to the current administration. So, for all we know, maybe she kind of had a issue to extent with censorship, not really being able to speak her mind, all that, right? I mean, that's her story to tell at a later date when she's ready. Look, when it's all said and done, though, as far as her on-screen character, this was this was a big girl. I don't mean in a sloppy way. I mean that in a respectful way, because whenever Ava appeared on camera, you're going, whoa, who the fuck is that? Like, whoa, she's huge. Wide shoulder. I mean, she looked like she could break a motherfucker. Okay. And, she hovers over half the damn roster on NXT, you know? And a lot of times you see the way they kind of got these camera angles kind of set up and everything. And you're like, sometimes it kind of looks like the cameraman's kind of tilting the camera, kind of tilting that camera head a little too high. I wouldn't be surprised if, sometimes you gotta put a little phone book down, a little stoop, so you can try to make sure you're able to catch Ava at eye level and all that and everything. But, you know, she didn't quite cut it as a wrestler. And that's not me throwing jabs at her. That's not me being mean at her. That's just me with my own two eyeballs, what I was seeing of her very early as a wrestler. It it was rough. It was rough. And it was kind of one of those deals where you're like, yeah, I know, like, I know who your father is, right? I know who your parents are. Like, man, that's some big shoes to fill. Like, I don't know about that. So the opportunity to transition to an on-screen character, me personally, she was given that position way too soon. Way too soon. Could you maybe say there was a little bit of favoritism, coddling going on, all in the name of trying to make sure that Rock's kid was pleased? That's very well possible. Very well possible. But let's just deal with the facts. And the facts is she struggled as a wrestler. She struggled as a on-screen character. I can remember being right here on this show going, my God, she has access to some of the absolute bets down there at the Performance Center. And it just seems like nothing is rubbing off on this person. You show me a person that has access to Shawn Michaels, Tensai, Robert Roode, um, Chris Park, Abyss, Norman Smiley, Fit Finley, and like, wow, this is what you have to show for after, like, what was that, 2021, 2022 is pretty much when she kind of, and here we are all this time later and like no substantial progress whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if The Rock honestly had said to her, look, this would honestly get you a nice IMDb credit, and you just get yourself out there, market yourself enough and everything, and you can essentially kind of use this to catapult yourself to eventually get into some other projects. Or, A, it's a steady source of income until you can kind of figure out what you want to do next. And if the rumors are true that she's going to end up in some extent working for her father and mother for their production company, hey, more power to her. Look, I can't hate. I can't hate. I wish I had those type of connections. I mean, I know most people, especially our older listeners out there. I know y'all wish you had them type of connections, right? Because we can remember how it was when we were around Ava's age. And we were struggling to figure out, my God, how am I going to pay this bill? And then I got classes, and then I got this. And oh my God, the car. Like, oh my God, my rent. Like, oh my God, like, I don't think I got enough to keep the cell phone on this month. Like, we had problems back in the day. We had problems back in the day. So for Ava to be in the position that she's in, like, you can't really feel too sorry for her. She's gonna be just fine, right? She spent all this time, hopefully, building a nice little Rolodex of connections, digital Rolodex, however they're doing it now, right? But bring back William Regal. That's all I gotta say. I'm ready for William Regal, or if not William Regal, I'm definitely ready for. I wouldn't mind Chelsea Green. I would not mind seeing Chelsea Green as an authority figure on NXT, especially after that bullshit I saw from Unreal season 2. Don't even get me started on that. I know I said I was going to talk about the whole R-Truth thing. Well, we'll push that back just a little bit further. We'll probably push that to, I think we could push that to maybe later this weekend, because I believe Tams wants to do an episode of Wrestling with the Topics. I got to check in with her and find out. But there's that. Also, sports related news. Cain Velasquez is now eligible for parole. Not sure if you guys have been on top of this. We have covered this story off and on during the years, but apparently he's now officially eligible for parole. His parole eligibility was originally listed for March 2026, but prisoners can accrue time off a sentence for participating in rehabilitative programs. Remember, Velasquez is currently serving time in prison after pleading no contest for attempted murder following a 2022 incident where he went on a high-speed chase and fired several rounds from a handgun at a car containing a man named Harry Golardi, who is accused of sexually molesting Velasquez's son at a daycare owned by Golarti's mother. Golarti's stepfather, Paul Bender, was the only one struck by a bullet after multiple rounds were fired. He sustained non-life threatening injuries. Velasquez ended up pleading no contest in 2024 and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So that's the 411 on that. Also, shout out to Marie Malenko, the daughter of Dean Malenko. She debuted for Pro Wrestling Noah over the weekend. And that's good. That's definitely a name you want to watch. I'm loving hearing some of the early buzz going on with her right now. So sounds very, very promising. And by the way, I loved hearing that the Saudi crowd booed the shit out of Triple H Paul Levesque. Chants of "We want Vince" during the post show. Oh my god, that's that's all I gotta say to that. That's all I gotta say to that. I might somehow try to splice that in for maybe the intro of the show. Like seriously. By the way, I said I was going to talk about this here on the show. A lot of information here when it comes to WWE 2K16. Remember that game's going to be dropping in mid-March. Get ready for this. This is a lot of information. So we got the standard edition. Remember, that's got CM Punk on the front cover, right? That is the one that is estimated to be $69.99. Okay. Pre-order bonus for that one is the Joe Hendry pack. Playable character, Joe Hendry, comes with a Joe Hendry cosmetic item t-shirt. You get a My Factions Evo card, Spin Island emote. Now, if you go for the Triple H King of Kings edition, which is $100, that includes everything in the standard edition. You get a ringside pass premium season 1, 32,500 virtual currency, Triple H 1998 skin, Stephanie McMahon 2000 skin, and the Triple H signature taunt emote for the island. Meanwhile, if you got a little bit more money and you're willing to go for the Attitude Era edition, that is gonna, god damn, like all these prices for these games. I'm just looking at this, like the $69. I'm going, but now that like the prices are getting higher, I'm just looking at this going, I can fix a part of my car for that amount. But the Attitude Era edition is $129.99. Base content includes everything found in the King of Kings edition. Characters allows players to play as legends, including Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Triple H, HBK, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Kane, Trish Stratus, Lita, Chyna, Kurt Angle, and the Dudley Boys. Season Pass includes access to Ringside Pass Premium Seasons 1 through 4. Attitude Era Pack, playable superstars, The Rock, 99, Kane, 98, Chyna, 97, Arena, Raw is War, 98 Arena. My Faction content, you get a Stone Cold Steve Austin Rattlesnake Evo card. You get the Rock People's Champ Evo card. Emotes, specifically for the island, Undertaker, Thumb Across the Neck emote, Shawn Michaels, DX, Crotch Chop emote. Superstar Mega Boost grants 200 My Superstar attribute points for My Rise. You get a virtual currency of 100,000. And then there is the it gets even better. It gets even better. Then you have the Monday Night War edition. This will cost you $10 more, so $149.99. Theme Super Premium Edition featuring WWE Attitude Era stars and WCW legends. So that WCW roster, that includes Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Goldberg, Booker T, and Eric Bischoff. Monday Night War Edition pack, playable superstars, Shawn Michaels DX, Macho Man Randy Savage 98 skin, and Rowdy Roddy Piper 98 skin. Arena, WCW 98 Arena. Island Emote, the Diamond Dallas Page Bang. Season Pass, Ringside Pass, Premium Seasons 1 through 6 most comprehensive pass included. I don't know about you guys. That is just look. I love a good game like the next person, but yeah, you ain't gonna find me spending no goddamn $100, 129 or $139, and then $149. No, I'm good. Seriously, I am good. If you're like me, just wait for that standard edition to go on sale, and then not to mention there are some phenomenal 2K creators that's out there that make better skins of some of your favorite wrestlers than what is actually in the game. Just wait it out. Oh my God. You know, the one thing that I forgot from the Monday Night Raw review, by the way, I just like that atrocious Bella segment, Nikki and Brie Bella. I guess the crowd reactions wasn't that good because just this awkward way that their music was turned on after I guess the segment was just becoming the drizzles. But basically, Brie and Nikki claim that they're reunited and they're going to be going after the women's tag team titles. Yay. That's all I got to say for that one. So for anybody that's like, wait a minute, you didn't talk about the Bellas. There you go. I just did it just then. Closing out the show. I want to acknowledge two passings that happened going into the weekend. The first one, I want to offer my thoughts, prayers, condolences to the friends, family, colleagues of comedian, actress Catherine O'Hara. You know her from Home Alone 2, Beetlejuice, the hit TV series Schitt's Creek, most recently The Last of Us. Phenomenal, just hell of a comedian, years ahead of her time. Damn good when it comes to improv comedy. You know, she knew her stuff, man. She knew her stuff. I grew up on her. Had a little soft spot for her. You know, I thought she was a cutie. It still did, even right on up to the end. I thought she was a cutie. She wasn't doing too well health wise. She passed away. As far as the exact cause of death, it's not known right now. But from what her family and reps have said, it was a brief illness that she was battling. And funeral arrangements and all that is underway. Nothing has been announced just yet. But 71, you all can definitely admit that's relatively young considering what we know about today's medicine, nutrition, you know, ways in which a person can, you know, you have all this information that's out there and all you got to do is utilize it. And, you know, with everything that's happened with our nutrition system and miracles of science that we've been able to learn like these last 20 years, we've actually been able to expand our life expectancy as a result and everything. But again, to the friends, family, colleagues of Catherine O'Hara, definitely my thoughts, my prayers are with you all. One other passing that we had, this one really hit me. There's not a week that goes by I'm not watching or referring to a key scene from a particular episode. Damon Wilson, better known as Lamont Sanford on the 1970s hit series Sanford and Son, passing away, I believe, at the age of 79, I think it was. He lost a battle to prostate cancer. There's that prostate cancer again, man. And we were just here some weeks back, and I was telling you guys how a close friend of my family had lost their battle to prostate cancer, and you know, my mother-in-law's boyfriend for like 30 something years He had passed away to prostate cancer, and family was just it crushed him. It crushed him because there was only but one other person that knew what was going on with him, and he made them swear to secrecy that he would not reveal, what was going on and all that. And now more than ever, it's sad seeing so many people that are losing this battle to prostate cancer, because all you got to do is just, first of all, listen to your body when something's kind of off, and do what you need to do to make an appointment and all of that. But then also, early detection is key. So you got to make sure that you're staying on top of those annual checkups and all that. Damon Wilson, I know about this this man by heart because I was such a fan of his growing up. Here was a guy, interesting childhood too. Very interesting childhood, because when he was growing up, he originally had dreams of being a ballet dancer and all that. So to the point, he actually, studied and trained in ballet and dancing. And, he was very serious about his religion. He was Catholic. And at one point, he strongly considered becoming a priest. And then who knows, funny thing happened along the way to heaven, I guess, right? But he eventually enlisted in the army, served a couple of years there, got wounded. When he came back to the U.S. soil, he started participating in Broadway and off Broadway plays. And that's where he really started truly falling in love with theater, acting, and all of that. And those of you that know your nostalgia television, y'all know that he got his first big break on 1971, All in the Family. And if you've never seen this episode, I would encourage you guys to go out of your way and check it out. But there was an infamous episode of All in the Family where he played a robber. And it was like the most hilarious damn thing. He comes in there, him and I can't remember who the other guy was that was robbing the place. I kind of feel like maybe it was the dude from 227 that would go on to be the black detective in Sanford and Son. I kind of feel like maybe it was that guy, but I'm not sure. But I know for a fact Damon Wilson was the other bank robber. And it was hilarious how they did Archie and them. Like really. Like, you just got to watch it because, like, they're like, man, these guys, for a white family, like, this white family, man, they so damn poor. Like I think they ended up giving like some of the items back or whatever, because like that's how poor they were. But Damon made such an impression on Norman Lear, the creator of All in the Family and co-creator of Sanford and Son, that Lear kept him in mind, for other projects and all. And ultimately, that's when Sanford and Son, the opportunity for that had came about. 1972 to 1977 with Sanford and Son. And true story, for those of you that are not aware, originally Damon Wilson, the role for Lamont, it was not supposed to go to him. Originally, the role was supposed to go to Booker. For those of you that, again, you hit TV shows, remember Booker from Good Times, the plumber, who ended up becoming a friend of the Evans family? Yeah, believe it or not, Booker was supposed to be in the role of Lamont, but he couldn't do it because he had commitments to some variety comedy show. And back then, as you guys may recall, they were very, very strict. The networks were on yeah, no, we're not going to let you go to this other network and do this thing. No, no, no. You're exclusive to us. You can't appear anywhere else. You can only appear on this show and other shows associated with this network because when when people think of you, they're going to think of ABC or Fox or, whatever. And so he wasn't allowed to do it. And that is essentially how Damon Wilson was able to slide in there. Now, there's also, if I remember right, I believe Richard Pryor was also considered for the role as well. But a lot of people felt early on, it didn't go that far. And like, hey, Richard Pryor, you're hired. It didn't go that far, but like, just imagine the combination. Like that would have been insane if you would have had Richard Pryor as Lamont and then Red Fox as Fred Sanford. Like that is just an insane combination. And even though Richard Pryor ended up like not becoming Lamont, as many of you guys know, him and the late Paul Mooney, another legendary comedian, they would write 2 episodes of Sanford and Son during the second season. You had the one episode where Fred's cousin, Grady, yes, I said cousin Grady. So this is before Whitman Mayo, the actor that portrayed the Grady that we all came to know and love, later on in later seasons. No, no, no. There was a original Grady that happened to be Fred's cousin who came into town with his wife and daughter-in-law, and he was trying to figure out who could marry her so that she could get her inheritance because he was trying to get a piece of that money or whatever. And Fred was like, well, what about Lamont? And Grady was like, yeah, what about Lamont? That was a good one. And then you had the other episode that Paul Mooney and Richard Pryor had wrote. It had to do with Fred coming across a old love. Matter of fact, the woman from Good Times, Winola, she played the old flame love interest, and she basically had sprung on Fred, hey, my daughter, well, that's your daughter too. She tried to con him and everything, right? And so the running gag was Lamont had the hots for his sister. 2 classic episodes. You got to look it up and everything. But I mean, that series, it was years ahead of its time, trailblazing ahead of its time. And to think CBS passed on Sanford and Son because they did not know that Red Fox was the one that was behind the show. Because, like, somehow the legend, the way the story goes, whoever was the CBS head at the time, like him and like a couple other people, they actually had saw Red Fox perform. And like, oh, he's funny as shit. Oh, imagine we could do something with him. Da, da, da. And then next thing you know, like some weeks go by and Norman Lear, he's like, hey, I got an idea for a show. And, he mentioned, the synopsis and all that other stuff. And basically the CBS execs, they were like, yeah, that sounds weak as fuck. But had Norman Lear said, well, not for nothing, but we got Red Fox, like he's our lead star. Had he gone in with the lead, that's why I tell my wife and friends, I say, don't bury the lead. Because when you bury the lead, like always start with the lead. Had he not buried the lead, they would have been like, oh, fuck, yes, let's do it. So went over to see NBC, and the rest was pretty much history. It's funny when I go back and I look at those earlier seasons of Sanford and Son, and I think many of you guys will agree with me. You can literally see Damon Wilson really navigate his way through the Lamont Sanford character, because in the first season, he's verbally abusive, isn't he? I mean, really think about it. I mean, he is verbally abusive. I mean, insulting his dad, calling him names, the vitriol that he has for him. I mean, it's like all there, right? And then when you go, I would honestly say from the third season on, he's much lighter, right? I mean, he eases off. He starts showing his dad affection. Then he's playing into, whatever banter and all of that. I mean, it was definitely a journey for Red Fox as well, but it was a more interesting journey to see Damon navigate the character, especially when Red Fox had walked away from his contract dispute. I mean, it was an infamous contract dispute. Basically, Red Fox was looking at what his white contemporaries were making on their respected hit TV shows. He particularly was looking at, All in the Family and other shows, and he felt that he was underpaid. And as a result of being underpaid, he was like, yo, I need to get my just due. And until I get my just due, well, I'm not going to come back and do this show. And so he left. I'm trying to think. Did he leave? I think he left towards the end of the third season, and then it bled into the fourth season, if I'm not mistaken. And Damon Wilson had to carry the show. He had to carry the show for those handful of episodes. And he did it well. He did it well. While they were the network, while the NBC executives and all that were trying to see if they could work something out with Red Fox, they asked for Damon Wilson to, hey, could you maybe step up? And he was like, yeah, sure. And that's when Whitman Mayo, as Grady, that's when he really started, or Grady 2.0. That's when he came in, and great chemistry between him and Lamont. If you want to see Damon really come into his own as Lamont Sanford, if you never watched the episode where Lamont and his friend Rollo, they come across Grady's garden and they swear Grady is growing weed. And then they got Smitty and I can't think of the other Smithy and oh man, what's the other guy? I can't think of the other cop's name. But when they come in there, man, you swear they were high as I don't know what. Because I mean, they were punishing the hell out of the salad and everything. Lamont was rolling pretty good in that one, and then there was the other one where Lamont got his ass beat by this dude who told him, "Yo, I told you stop laying your hands on my woman. Stop looking on my woman. She's my woman." And Lamont called himself learning martial arts so that the next time he came across this dude, he was going to beat his ass. And Grady's just like, yeah, yeah, you doing all that hoo-yah, all that screaming. You could just turn right around and just go running. That's the best way you can win a fight. Just go running in the opposite direction. It was really good stuff, man. Yeah, Damon had some really damn good moments on that show, and then eventually, when Red Fox came back, it pretty much was sadly the beginning of the end because it's interesting. It's really interesting because when Red Fox sat out, Damon Wilson initially was like, "Hey, this really sucks what's going on, but I'm really hoping that everything will work out. Fred, we miss you. Please come back." And then Damon's position started changing after that. Like after a few weeks, it was like, and maybe that was because he was looking at how the ratings were doing with Whitman Mayo's Grady, and maybe that kind of influenced him a little bit, but he started changing his tune a little bit, not in a cocky way, but it was just like, hey, we're so fortunate, this opportunity that we have. And basically Red Fox, when everything did get worked out, Red Fox felt betrayed by Damon Wilson because he felt, you know what, Damon, if you were really in my corner, you shouldn't have done the series at all. You should have held out with me, and then we both could have got paid at the same time, it didn't have to look like I was the problem. And so that changed their relationship dynamic greatly. And you could actually see that a little bit, the way it played out in the final couple of seasons. Like some of that banter, some of that, it was kind of missing. I mean, the comedic timing and everything, I mean, it was still there, but you did kind of feel something was a little bit hollow and everything. So when Red Fox got an opportunity to do a variety show on a rival network, he said sayonara to Sanford and Son. And Damon Wilson learned that Sanford and Son was canceled, I believe, through like a newspaper or he was being interviewed or something like that. He didn't even hear it straight from Red Fox. And that had set up quite the riff between those two guys for many, many years. The NBC execs, they tried to see if Damon would be interested in continuing on with the Sanford and Son show without Red Fox, but he was like, "You got to pay me more money, and you got to pay me as close to Red Fox money as much as possible." They weren't willing to do that, so that pretty much ended things. Damon went through a rough period there. I won't say thanks in part to Red Fox, but Red Fox didn't help. You know, they used to drink and get high together. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And so a lot of the stuff that was going on, you know, behind the scenes, the Damon would be toe up on some of the finest drugs and alcohol. And he went through a period there where he was struggling, trying to find his sobriety and all of that. But his career was never the same after Sanford and Son. He tried doing a black version of The Odd Couple. I don't know if you guys recall that, but if you want to watch cringe, cringe comedy, you'll be able to find it on YouTube. Just type in The New Odd Couple, Damon Wilson, Ron Glass. And if I remember right, Damon played Oscar and Ron Glass from Barney Miller, the black cop with the afro mustache. Ron Glass played Felix. Rough. It lasted one season, 13 episodes. Then Damon tried to do a TV show in the early 80s. It was like around 82, 83. That only lasted one season. I think it went about 10, maybe 15 episodes. It was called Baby, I'm Back. It was based gambler that basically abandoned his wife, his son and his daughter to go live out in California and all that. And like X amount of years had went past, and hi Damon Wilson's character, I think the character's name was Ray, finds out that his wife, who he abandoned and all that, is uh in the process of getting remarried. Uh Hang on a second here. There you go. I don't know why I just saw that there was a disconnect on the YouTube stream. Hopefully you guys on the other platforms are okay. But yeah, like some years had passed, and then he finds out that his wife is like in the process of about to get married, and so he decides, wait a minute, you know, let me go back home, let me go back to DC, and let me try to get back with my wife, and let me try to be there for my kids. Let me show them that I'm a new man. I've learned the error of my ways. The series and the reason why the wife operated the way that she did, you know, Ray was gone for so long that part of her whole, okay, I'm proceeding to go ahead with, you know, the divorce and all of that. She thought he was dead because she didn't hear a peep out of him for like years upon years upon years. So that's what ultimately makes him move back to DC, and he's trying to patch things up. You can see these episodes on YouTube, and like you could see the potential that's there, but it's weird because when you look at this sitcom and you think about how sitcoms were in the 80s, you're kind of going, where's the haha? Where's the, okay, so are you a drama or are you comedy? Because like you can't really have both. Like it's got to be one or the other. Like which one is it? Okay, you're trying to hit us up with like very important messages here. Okay, so are you a drama? Like what's going on? So, but you can see the potential. You can see the potential, but just yeah, it was really bad. Damon's career really wasn't the same after that. I know there was a part of him that despised Hollywood, and for the longest time, he didn't do anything. Um, if he would work on some type of project, it was through his friend, his close friend, Clifton Powell. Clifton Powell, if you remember Sherman Hemsley in 227, remember the nice looking black dude with the fine hair that was his co-partner or whatever? That was Clifton Powell's character right there. He would Damon Wilson, he would collaborate with Clifton a couple of times, and they would do some stuff for some religious network. um I know Damon was involved with the TV show Girlfriends back in the day. He had a recurring role on there, but everything was really mum, really, really quiet. He pretty much just kept out of the limelight, did a few interviews here and there, but when it was all said and done, just low profile, was just really involved in his ministries, writing books. Speaking of which, you can go to his website right now if you're interested. And there's a couple of books that's for sale. Last I checked, they no longer have original autograph, rightfully so, with his passing. But if you're interested, you can check out some of the books on his website. Great actor, very underrated actor. Should have been involved a lot more in the industry, but definitely somebody that I'm gonna miss. Obviously, because he definitely had an impact on me. Sanford and Son just years ahead of its time, showing you know that form of a black family that's trying to do everything they can to survive while being their own entrepreneurs and all that. And don't forget, that particular series is based off of a British series overseas, Steptoe and Son, and you can definitely see the first season of Sanford and Son. They're literally still in the playbook from the first season of Steptoe and Son, but then season two on is when they really start carving out their own niche, and the series ends up having its own distinct and original identity as a result and everything. So yeah, check it out. You can watch reruns of it on, I think, Get TV or Cozy TV. I know for a fact if you got Prime Video, you can catch up and watch all the episodes of Sanford and Son that way. So rest in power, Damon Wilson. Hey, programming notes. So going forward, we are going to be doing more condensed shows. It's that time of the year for our newer listeners. Here's what's going on. So last semester, when I started up a new fall semester at the college that I transferred to, we ended up doing like about an hour 15 minutes of a show. And then you guys were treated to a bonus show that weekend where we went all over the place, kind of like what we just did now. So now with the spring semester finally underway, it was supposed to start last week, but we got slammed with the snowstorm. So classes for the entire week was canceled. Classes started up today, but luckily, as far as my Mondays go, Mondays I have to myself. The rest of the week I've got classes. So, and a lot of those classes start pretty early in the morning. So going forward, we're going to make sure that the shows are going to be an hour 15 minutes long, and then we'll make up for it by giving you guys a bonus show later in the week. Now, some of you guys may go, "Damn, so Lee, what does this mean for potentially the TNA coverage? Because you just started bringing back Impact Showdown. Will you still be doing Impact Showdown covering TNA Fallout?" Yes, I'll still be doing that. I mean, that's a very easy show to do. Um, I'm not too much of a fan of coming on at 11 p.m., but the fact that we only do roughly about 45 minutes to an hour of a show, and then Friday, I've got a late morning class, it works out kind of good. So we're going to continue to do Impact Showdown for you guys covering TNA Fallout on AMC. And then like on the weekends, every couple of weeks, you guys will still get Wrestling with the Topic. So everything's still gonna kind of be as usual. It's just the Monday shows that's gonna be much smaller. And I think a lot of you guys will actually appreciate that, because I know sometimes you guys don't like when we do deluxe shows that's like 2 hours plus. I mean, not unless there's a lot of, because I know some weeks are kind of, it's loaded up. But yeah, so bear with me for the semester. I appreciate you all's patience. Somehow we got through it together last semester. We're gonna pull it off this semester as well. Meantime, I want you guys to be kind, rewind, check out previous episodes you might have missed on demand and on the downloads wherever you get your podcast. Just search the RCWR show. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, head on over there, youtube.com/the RCWR show. You can get at me all throughout social media using the keywords the RCWR show. And yeah, that is going to do it. I'm going to get me some good rest on that note. You guys got a plethora of shows you can go check out that is on demand and on the downloads. There were multiple shows that we put out last week going into the Royal Rumble post show. So this is your time right now to go check those out, catch up on what all you missed. And until next go round, my pretty babies, I'm wishing all of y'all to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go round. Take care.